Let's go real serious. We're going from bicycles to abortion. Let's talk about the abortion law that passed, AB 2223. It protects a woman or pregnant person who chooses to end a pregnancy from prosecution, even if the abortion is self-induced or happens outside the medical system. It also abolishes the requirement that coroners investigate stillbirths and protects someone who helps a pregnant person end their pregnancy voluntarily from criminal or civil liability. So we talked about last time, we talked about Prop 1 passing. So there's now a constitutional right that protects the right to abortion. You have this law that just passed that basically says you cannot go after someone criminally or civilly for self-induced or abortions that happen outside the medical system. So basically, there are no restrictions on abortions at all at this point. And even if you want a abortion that is not safe or not medically sanctioned, that's okay too, and no one can criminally prosecute you. Is that what I'm taking away from this?
Isn't there something in there about also the person assisting with the abortion is exempt from criminal?
Yes. Anybody who is assisting with this also will not be criminally liable.
Okay.
So there could be people performing abortions or helping to perform abortions. And if they're not medically licensed or anything, they could still not be liable under this law.
I see lawsuits coming for that one because an abusive baby daddy, whether it's spouse, boyfriend, domestic partner, whatever you want to call it, who doesn't want the baby, which is often obviously a crisis pregnancy, is that like a woman isn't supported. And that's one reason why they would seek abortion, but they may be trying to get away. He may want the abortion and she doesn't. They perform the abortion via abusive matters and then claim that they were just assisting in it. And then it's his word against hers kind of thing.
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, because if it's outside of medical practices, then yeah, I mean, I guess you can't be criminally or civilly liable for trying to help perform an abortion.
Right. I mean, I think in extremes I do, but like, where do we draw the line on this? There's no line. Obviously, with abortion, it's just free for all at this point. And I think it's interesting that they passed that because they also passed SB 1375, which is a new law that will give qualified nurse practitioners and certified nurse midwives the ability to perform first trimester abortions in California without the supervision of a physician. What was the point in passing that law if we just let anybody do abortions? Like, it seems like there was no point.
So before, existing law requires, if a physician was not in attendance at the delivery of the fetus, existing law requires the fetal death to be handled as a death without medical attendance. This bill would delete the requirement that a coroner would hold inquests for death related to or following known or suspected self-induced or criminal abortion, and would delete the requirement that an unintended fetal death be handled as a death without medical attendance. So, to your scenario before, prior to this bill, if it was done outside of medical attendance, it would be classified as a death, like a homicide. Now, they've taken away that requirement. So, you're right, it is basically a free-for-all at this point under this bill. So, anyone can do it, and anyone can perform or assist or do anything, and they're not really going to be civilly liable. I'm not really sure what the point of this is other than to say that California is the most free state when it comes to abortions and like how freely you can get abortions. And I why would you even need to go through this process outside of medical attendance when, as we've discussed before, there are plenty of clinics and places that will help, that are taxpayer funded here in California, that will assist and do it for you if you can't pay for it.
And that was, I guess, one of the laws with SB 1375, or one of the reasons is because allegedly not all counties have abortion clinics. So this will enable easier access But now if we're
Yeah.
enabling easier access, why do we need to be okay with self-induced? Because, okay, obviously I'm against abortion, like I've said that many times, but I don't want women hurting themselves. Like we shouldn't, nobody should want women hurting themselves in the process of
Yeah.
a self-induced abortion. That's
I mean, this basically legalizes the nightmare scenario that the left is always crying about, which is,
right.
well, if you outlaw abortion or make it extremely hard to get, women will just go to back alleys and get like coat hanger abortions.
Right.
This actually sounds like it legalizes the back alley coat hanger abortions because there's really no liability for anyone who wants to assist outside of medical attendants. So California has legalized this back alley way of doing it. And to me, that sounds kind of strange that they told the right or people in Republican states that passed a lot of these heartbeat bills, 15 weeks, well, now all these women are just going to go get illegal abortions. Yet California is now allowing illegal and unsafe abortions, and no one's going to be held criminally liable. So they've created their own nightmare scenario by passing this bill.
Right. Yeah. Is there a term limit on this? Like, is it any week of pregnancy up to birth? Like, what do you know?
I saw something. Pregnant. And of course, they have to put in performed by a person, then the pregnant person. As if, of course, that makes literally no sense. Bill Roth bring civil action. It doesn't really say. Who wrote this bill? Because this is dripping with Bay Area gobbledygook language. It's got to be. Who wrote this? Has got to be like. Let me see. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Buffy Wicks. Yep. Buffy Wicks is almost, I would probably say, on the level of radical as Scott Wiener. She doesn't get nearly enough attention, which I think is a shame. I think Scott Wiener gets a lot more attention because a lot of what he pushes seems to be stuff involving your children. So obviously he gets a lot more of the fire. But the stuff that she pushes, this is absolutely awful. It says reproductive justice is the human right to control our body, sexuality, gender, work, and reproduction. That right can only be achieved when all people, particularly women and girls, women and girls. What about all pregnant people? That's not very inclusive.
I feel like that's like a derogatory term now.
How dare she say just women and girls? I thought men could get pregnant too. The Joker got pregnant in the new comic book. That was the whole hubbub today. If you saw that, have the complete economic, social, and political power and resources to make healthy decisions about their bodies, families, and communities in all areas of lives. At the core of the reproductive justice is the belief that in the right to bodily autonomy, the right to have children, the right to not have children, the right to parent the children, we have dignity and respect in safe and sustainable communities. Now, again, I don't want to go down. We've talked about this before, and we'll save it for another time. But I love that they always put in here the right to have children is what we're after and protecting. And you and I both know that California, they don't really care about you having children. They don't want you to have children. They want you to not have children.
But if you do, take them to drag shows at your local public school.
Yeah. If you do have children, just let you know that the state does own them. You have no say over that. Across the country, people have been criminally prosecuted for having miscarriages or stillbirths or for self-managing an abortion. I don't want to know what how you self-manage an abortion, but it sounds awful. That just sounds, that sounds criminal in my mind, but it's no longer criminal in California. I'm trying to find.
Can I say this? I don't know if I don't want to get you shut down, but it is utter bullshit that they keep saying that women are getting criminalized for having miscarriages. I'm so tired of that argument.
Go on.
Are we still here? I don't know if like you curse words. No, it's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Nobody is getting criminalized for having an abortion that has never or not sorry, for having a miscarriage that has never happened.
Yeah, that's a weird
spontaneous miscarriage. Like it's just.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of a story of someone going to jail for a miscarriage. Like that doesn't. But
no, it doesn't.
There's no example in my mind of someone who's been criminally prosecuted for miscarriages or stillbirths, for that matter. Like, who's been criminally prosecuted for a stillbirth or a miscarriage to say you had intent on, ending the life of this baby? And self-managing abortion, that's different. You have intent. You're trying to.
Yeah, you killed your baby.
Yeah, you had the intent to. There was something living in you, and you killed it. So
you didn't. Yeah, that's very frustrating to me. Miscarriages, spontaneous miscarriages, to be correct, are so common. They're so common. So if that were the case, then women would be. I'm sorry, birthing persons would be being arrested left and right.
So existing law requires a coroner to register a fetal death after 20 weeks of gestation, unless it is the result of a legal abortion. God, this, geez, this just keeps getting worse. Like this bill is really, really awful. And so that's the existing law, and then obviously they got rid of it. Pregnancies can end in a range of outcomes nationwide. As many as 1 in 5 known pregnancies end in miscarriage. In California, as many as 2,365 pregnancies per year end in stillbirth, meaning perinatal loss after 20 weeks gestation. Many pregnancy losses have no explanation. People also need to end pregnancies by abortion, including self-managed abortion, which means outside of. Yeah. So this bill, on that note, this bill's going into effect this year. So that should be interesting to see.
Did it on the 1st, or is it going in like July?
Yes. Beginning January 1st, 2023. This is one of the bills that will go into effect. It's already gone into effect. So.
Okay. And me being an extremist, this is such a segue for assisted euthanization of ourselves. Like this is, yeah. I mean, we're already on our way there, but that this is just going to be one of those things. Well, it's okay to, kill the unborn baby. It's okay to self-induce an abortion. Why isn't it okay to help someone
abort themselves?
Yes. It's not funny. I'm sorry. I should not laugh at that at all. It's not funny.
It's
sick.
Well, it's funny. It's just so crazy that this is where we've gotten that. Like, the left has gotten so obsessed with pushing abortion rights as far as possible that they're just like, California's just trying to out lefty like the rest of the country and be like, look at how free and open we are. You can self-manage your own abortion. You won't get criminally prosecuted for it. So
I like to ask, if abortion were done via gunshot, then would you want it illegal?
Yeah, it's a good question, because guns are icky in California. Which brings us to, I guess, our next